As we have discussed in the last video, so you can also see the trend line here as a similar way. As we have said that the support and resistance we have basically acts like a floor and roof to the price movement. When it comes to price, if we see two touches at the bottom, we can count it as a valid support, and in the same way, if we get two touches at the upper side, we can count it as a valid resistance. So the important thing for us in this whole position is touches, in which minimum two touches are required at a particular level through which we can see support and resistance. When it comes to trend line, the trend line is also similar, for which you can use the trend line tool directly. As we know, support and resistance are purely flat and can be seen on horizontal levels, but when it comes to trend line, we can see it here at an angle of 45 degree. Basically, you can draw the trend line both on the upside and the downside price movement. And if you talk about the price, if the price movement is from downward side and it is falling along the trend line, then at some point it may break the trend line and the price will move up. If this similar position is respoken, we are saying these 2 points. Now these 2 points are the touches and we can consider it as first touch and second touch. So if you have to find out the trend line, which trend line it is, you just have to find out two touches as we did in the support and resistance. So if you get to see two touches from this particular 45 degree angle, that means it's a trend line. If price movement is upwards, then chances increases that it will weaken the trend line and price may move further. Similarly, if your trend line is moving down, then there can be heavy chances that the market is coming down from upward direction and somewhere market is trying to go in upward direction for short term, which may later go back in downward direction. Even in this, you get to see same points back. If you want to find out any trend line, it's a good way to find out through one and two touches over here. Just as in the last video, we talked about support and resistance, we used to test the body and the wick of the candle. In the same way here, we can connect wick to wick and body to body. Moving back to charts, you will get to see a lot of data here and you can draw them inside any time frame as many trade lines as there are. The more data you draw, the more data we have to get in here. As we are now in 1 day time frame, we will have to analyze too much data. But if we go here in a time frame for 15 minutes, 5 minutes or another, we will analyze less data. You can see in this particular area that the prices are moving in upward direction. As we have talked in the support and resistance, that if the price goes up and falls back down, which you can see in this position, we have the last base, basically it is a resistance. The line that follows the support and resistance is also drawn here, so you can take back the trend line tool. So you can go here for magnet tool and choose between weak magnet and strong magnet. I just have to attach this point to many point that I have at a last swing high, and if we get to see a low point, we can attach this line back to it. So after attaching it, you can switch off the magnet tool and particularly you can draw the same line further. So here you will find one thing, that our first swing high is first touch and the second swing high is second touch. And if we get two touches, we can validate and consider the line as a trend line, and we can have any number of touches in the future. Keep in mind that whenever you draw support, resistance or trend line, there may be a slight gap between the prices. This line is never exactly accurate, which always makes the price a little up and a little down, or sometimes accurate because the trend line is built above the price. And I have told you that it becomes more that if the price repeatedly tries to hit the same trend line inside the market, then somewhere price will move up. Similarly, if you go ahead in price and try to analyze things and talk about lower trend line, that the price have tested this and the second test is around this point, where we can simply say that this level is first touch and the second touch we get to see from the market, and we can assume it as a trend line and extend further, through which as long as the price remains on top of the trend line, the price will be bullish, and whenever price will break the trend line, then the price will start to move in opposite direction. So basically, if your market is bullish, whatever trend line you have will be above the price, and whenever your market turns bearish, somewhere the trend line is formed at the bottom of the price, and when it breaks the trend line, price moves in downward direction. If you talk about the current Bitcoin price, you can draw the trend line over here and will find the first touch and the second touch over here. If the price moves upward, we will see the third touch, and if the market breaks it out with a good volume, then the market can go up to test its height. So what we saw till now is 1 day time frame, and you can draw trend line in 4 hour, 5 minute and 15 minute also. I am taking the chart on March 2020 because market was dumped due to COVID-19 and both the trends are present in the market, uptrend or downtrend. You can easily identify the trend line over here, how they are working. Now let's see the chart according to the prices. Always zoom in the chart, and now let's choose trend line and switch on a magnet tool and search for a first swing high at an angle of 45, search for another swing high and market. As you can see, it's the first touch and this is the second touch, and according to these two touches we can count this as a trend line and extend further, and on breaking the trend line, price moves upward. Now if you focus at this position, market switch from bear market to bull market on the basis of the trend line, or if the market continued its bear market, then trend line should lie somewhere here. On further analysis, the market, you can clearly see the trend line is forming an indication to the bull market, and sometimes you can see fake outs like this wick, but you can ignore this. You should focus on that trend line that connects more points, that is body to body and wick to wick. As the price changes and the market moves forward, you will notice more touches, and when the price change and moves upward, you can see a supportive level. And as I have said in the beginning, focus on two touches. Remember one thing, that in